Okay, so I've got some garlic, I've got basil, smoked paprika, Italian seasonings, oregano, garlic powder, salt and pepper, a little bit of half and half, Worcestershire, balsamic vinegar, some basil from my garden. I have a sweet Italian sausage. I've got the Kirkland broccoli cheddar soup that comes in those 2 big tubs like that. I have a whole large onion, 4 large red potatoes, a couple of stalks of broccoli, a little bit of cheddar cheese, a sleeping dog in the background that does not go into the soup, and then some chicken broth. I think that's all I put in it. Let's get started. So the first thing that I have is a pot of water boiling on this side, about 6 quarts of water. I have a lot of water boiling. And then on this side I've put a little oil in this pan, which is going to be my final pan that the soup's going to be in. The first pot of water is boiling for these potatoes, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut these 4 potatoes into bite-sized pieces. So I made sure that I cut them all before I put them in the water so they cook at the same time and I don't have half of them overcooked and half of them undercooked. So I'm going to throw these in the boiling water, and then we're going to chop the onions and get the sausage into the pot. So I've got my sausage here. I have a pan with some hot oil in it, and I'm going to try, they're frozen, so I'm going to try to decase these as much as possible because I like to decase sausage when I use it. But you don't have to, you can just cut it in small pieces, however you like. But I'm trying to make everything in here about the same size, so I'm trying to make the sausage about the same size as I have the potatoes. So I've got the potatoes going, I have the meat sizzling right next to me. You want those little bits of meat in the bottom of the pan. It's going to bring a lot of flavor to the whole dish. I'm going to make these onions and just dice them, I guess, and then chop the broccoli and kind of throw everything together real quick. It's pretty simple. The good thing about this soup is that you can kind of do this idea with any kind of soup you get at the store. And a lot of times the soups at the store are high in sugar and high in sodium. So when you take what they've done with flavor and then you just bulk it up and add a little more flavor without adding a bunch of salt and sugar, it's really like you get the best of both worlds. You're getting real fresh vegetables in it, so it's more farm to table instead of so processed and sitting around. You're not having to do all the work of just stewing something for so long to get all the flavor out of it, because they've already done that in the store-bought version usually. Alright, we've got our potatoes boiling in here. You'll want to stir them a little bit every once in a while. We've also got our meat sizzling, getting a nice little char on them. Don't worry about the char in the bottom of the pan, that's your flavor. You can see little pieces. And then we're going to throw onion in here and let them cook a little bit. And after the onions cook down, we'll put the garlic and the broccoli in. Part of the reason that I partially cook the potatoes, or actually they almost get fully cooked, is I don't want all the starch from them. I'll use a little bit of this water in the soup to help thicken the soup even more, but I don't want it all. And it's nice to get rid of some of that starch when you're cooking. So the onions are cooking pretty fast. I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. If you don't like 12 cloves of garlic, do 13. You gotta have a lot of garlic. Garlic's like so much flavor. It's just a shame. The way you messed around with me. It's a shame the way you hide me. So I've cut off the stalk and I've peeled that dark green outer layer off, and I'm chopping these in smaller pieces, and I'm going to try to get them into the soup quicker You can definitely use the stock in cooking. They just take a little bit longer to cook. I'm going to turn my heat down a little bit. I like cooking the meat on high, but it can't stay on high the whole time. One thing that really goes good with this soup too is adding a can of beans, and I like cannellini beans with this soup, but I'm out of them today. But especially if you're cooking for a lot more people, the more different items in a soup that you add, the more it bulks it up, and then you have a good amount of soup for everyone. So I'm taking the stalks that aren't as thick as the main stock, but I am kind of dicing them down. I'm going to use them to get more veg and vitamin in there. But they do take longer to cook, so I'm trying to get them in there pretty quick. So now it's time to just chop down this broccoli into small bits, and I chop this a little bit smaller than I do the potatoes. This broccoli is the florets and cooks the quickest, and it's why it went in last. So my potatoes aren't done yet, but I did turn the boiling water off, because with potatoes, if they're rolling around in the boiling water and having a lot of movement, it starts basically breaking them apart, and they don't stay in one solid piece. So they're still cooking, but they're cooking now in very still waters. Keep an eye on that pan. Make sure you stir it around every once in a while to keep it from burning. So I've got all my broccoli in the pan now, and I'm just kind of cooking it a little bit, but you'll notice there's some burnt areas. That is important. That's your flavor right there. And how you get that up is you basically get the pan super hot, and then you put in a liquid, and the liquid will lift it. And so putting in the broth now will help lift those bits off the bottom and bring a lot of flavor to your soup. Okay, we're going to let that start boiling up, and we're going to do a couple of the final touches. If you're wondering how much water you're going to need, it depends on how large were your potatoes, how liquidy did your broccoli make it. I like to make the soup, put everything in it, and then decide how much more liquid it needs, and I pull that from the water that the potatoes were boiling in. These you can also save and put the leftover soup in, which is good. And you can also, there's been times I've made like large amounts of soup for family and we've had a lot left, and I've thrown them back in here and put them in the freezer. So there's our 2 broccoli cheese soups from Costco. And again, you don't have to use these. They're really good. You're just kind of using them, but making it to where it still feels indulgent, but it's a little bit better for you because you're adding more veggies and protein, balancing out some of that salt and sugar, and you're making enough for a big family if you have a big family. If you don't have a big family, then I don't know. Make one of them, or just you're probably good just buying the soup and not doing nothing to it. But if you're like me and you've got to bulk things up, oh goodness, I have to feed an army. So I just put about a tablespoon of Worcestershire, which kind of is something that just rounds things out. It's kind of like fish sauce or soy sauce, or it's something I like to use in a lot of different things because it just seems to make everything come together. And then again, about a tablespoon of balsamic vinegar. I would say probably about a teaspoon of each one of them. Gotta add the pepper. And I'm gonna add the basil now. just so I don't forget it. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna add about 2 cups of the shredded cheddar cheese and throw the potatoes in. I've just thrown the cheese in there. I'm gonna throw in about a half a cup of cream. Right, here come the potatoes. They look like they're almost completely done, so they'll need to boil a little bit more. So I think I added about 4 cups of water from the starchy potato water. And I just wanted it more liquidy and more soupy. Pretty much you can not put in the water if you want, but you just need to let it boil for a little longer. Taste it for your seasonings, add whatever you think you might need, and now you have soup for days, and it was really easy. Okay, time to taste it. I added a little red chili flake to mine. Not everybody in the family is going to want it really spicy, so I only did it to mine. But I think it's good with or without. It's good. Potatoes are done. And the broccoli, when you add fresh broccoli, you get more of a broccoli flavor. It's just better for you to always bulk things up with veggies, right? So that's it. Simple, easy. Costco did half the work. And yeah, we're having soup. Now I hope it rains and thunders and lightning. I love it all. All right, I'm done. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you like my videos. Subscribe. If you hit the little bell on the right side, I would appreciate it. I'm trying to save things for my family for in the future so they can cook maybe something that when I'm gone they missed. My mom always missed her mom's prune bread. No one ever got the recipe, and I'm gonna miss my mom's spaghetti. So I guess that's it. Hopefully you guys get some good soup this fall and winter, because I think our lives depend on it. Anyway, bye. Thanks for watching. Scrambling in the kitchen.